Hi everyone, welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. Today I'm making a series of 3 different flags in the shop on a little small production run. And this is the absolute best way to do it because you set up your tools one time and you get to do multiple cuts. So today I'm going to show you how I do the cutting on the saws and the CNC machine and how I put together all 3 of the flags and being able to do it in a production run so it's all sequenced out. It really saves a lot of time doing it this way, and it's actually a lot of fun. So let's get started. Now the first thing I'm going to do in making these flags is cut the unions. And these unions are 13 by 10.5 inches. So I've got the table saw set and I'm just going to cut all 3 at once. I'm using a premium pine to be able to make these flags. And that means that there is really virtually no knots in this wood at all. And that's what I want for the unions. Next, I remove the table saw sled, reset the saw up for my 10.5 inches, and then I can just go ahead and rip the 3 unions down to the 10.5 inches wide. Next is on to the staining. Now, of course, I use gloves for this because I really don't want the stain all over my hands. But what I'm going to be doing is putting 2 coats of the stain onto the wood, and that makes for a very even and a rich color that I'm looking for. And I'm using the wood stain from Minwax. It's a true blue that I've been using for all of my flags. After mixing good, I'll go ahead and start the staining. Now this is the beginning of the second coat, and I can just put it on and really in any different direction, because what I'm looking for to happen is for the stain to be able to soak into the wood. And I'll let that set for 5 minutes or so. There's no real time limit there. And after that sets and soaks into the wood, then I'll go ahead and take a cloth and wipe off the excess. But at this point, what I'm looking for is a nice even coat across the entire surface and having good coverage. So now that I've let this sit for 5 or 10 minutes or so, all of the stain that's going to soak into the wood has soaked into the wood. So it's now time just to wipe off the excess to reveal a beautiful finish that I think is going to look really, really nice. Because you can see that the wood is completely covered and it's a very even, consistent color. That's important to be able to have on the unions for the flags. Now it's time to be able to cut the stripes. Now I cut these 2x4s a little bit overcut. The flag itself is 37 inches, and I cut these at about 38 inches. And that will give me the opportunity, once they're completely done, to come back and do a final cut to get the actual length. But at this point, all of these are being cut at 38 inches long. Now the remaining stripes need to be 24 inches for the final length, so I'm cutting these at 25 inches. Now it's on to the resawing process, and to be able to do this safely, I actually take several different cuts at the wood on each side. And this is the safest way to be able to do it, and I really like the end result. The grain of the wood in these 2x4s is actually very, very pretty. And I like this for the flags. It's a lot better than using other materials that I have done in the past. Now that I've cut almost to the center of the wood, that last cut is a very small amount. So I raise up the saw blade just enough to be able to cut that. And as I cut through, it's actually cutting a very small strip of wood in the very center. And that releases the 2 pieces. Then I take all the pieces of the wood over to the planer and run it through just to make sure that they are exactly the same thickness. With all the work done at the planer, it's back to the table saw. The next step in the process is to cut all of these boards down to the final width of 1.5 inches. Doing all this extra milling process and preparing these stripes, because I'm using the 2x4s, to me is well worth it. I absolutely love the grain of the wood that the 2x4s have that you just don't see in the other wood and materials that I've used in the past. Always remember shop safety when you're working with the table saw, and make sure that you use the push sticks and keep those fingers well away from the blade itself. Now I know this is a little bit of a strange camera angle, but actually my fingers are a lot farther away from the blade than you might think. Safety is #1 priority. At the miter saw, it's time to cut the final length of all the stripes. And to be able to do that, I set the fence up to the 37 inches. Now you'll see in the background where I placed a blue field into the fence as well. And this allows me to be able to cut all of the shorter stripes to the exact length that I need. So I really don't even have to measure these. This is an important time-saving aspect of cutting these, because one measurement of 37 inches makes it where I can cut all of the stripes, both the long ones and the short ones, without having to remeasure and take a chance on making an error. Went ahead and laid out all 3 of the flags. Now this far flag with the union already cut is going to be for the blue stripe for the peace officer's flag. The one in the middle gets shipped out to New Jersey, and the one on this side actually stays in Louisiana. Before carving the stars into the unions, I want to go ahead and torch this. This is a very even process that's an important step, and I do this very similar to painting. I actually move the flame across and then off of the wood and then come back across the other way. And this makes for a very even and consistent look. Doing these stripes is the exact same method. I keep a nice, slow, even, consistent pass along the stripes. Oftentimes on the first pass it does not completely cover, and you'll see that I do multiple passes on each stripe, but I do not stop because that will burn splotches into the stripe, which I don't want. I continue this process along the entire length of the stripe until I get the color and the consistency that I'm looking for. In order for you to see the process a little bit better, I'm setting up on edge each of the stripes so you can see how it goes through the process of torching it. It gives you a better look on the whole process. Now I'm not going to waste your time on all of the different stripes, but I think you can see the steps in the process that I use. And again, safety is very important in the shop, and you can see that I'm using cinder blocks to set these stripes on. And I'm also having a completely clear area in the shop to be able to work, and there's no dust or sawdust on the floor at all in this area. Again, shop safety is very, very important. Once I have the union completely dry, I take it over to the CNC machine on the X-Carve, and I set it up and begin the carving process. The software that I'm using is the easel software, which I have used before, and it will cut all of the 50 stars, and it makes for a very sharp, crisp look on each of the stars. Now I'm certainly not going to waste your time going through all 50 stars, but I think you can see from the look of this first one, it's a very clear, crisp, sharp star, and that's what I want. I want to show you as it is completing the carving process how all of the stars look. And this is with no sanding, no touch-up, nothing at all. It is a very clean, crisp look of a union. Can't beat that at all. And once it's finished, then the CNC machine returns right back to the center, and I'm able to swap out this union for the next one without having to go through the process of resetting up everything. Now that I've removed it from the CNC machine and dusted it off, I wanted to be able to give you a close-up look at all of the stars. They turned out absolutely beautiful. This is one of the best things that I love about having the CNC machine versus trying to hand paint these stars. Okay, we've got everything laid out. It's time to start gluing everything together. This doesn't need a lot of glue, but I do like to put some glue on the different pieces. And this actually goes fairly quickly. Double check the stars one last time to make sure that they're all facing the right direction. Now we can go ahead and bring the clamps over in place. And now I can also start putting these clamps in place as well. Now at this point, everything is just very loosely in place. Okay, now that we've got it all clamped together and it's all stapled, we'll just let the glue dry and we'll come back and remove it in the clamps in about a half an hour. Now after it comes off of the clamps, I go back and I touch up any little small imperfections that I see and make sure that everything is covered exactly the way that I want it. This is a very small detail, but I think it pays off big dividends in the end in the overall look of the flag. So I check each stripe and make sure that the stain had 100% coverage and it all looks exactly the way that I want it to. Once that's done, I've also done the blue field over here, the Union, and did exactly the same thing. Check for make sure that there was no imperfections there. And I touched up the stain. Like I said, I think this is a small detail, but I think it adds a lot to the overall look of the flag. Now it's time to go ahead and torch the back of the flag. This is an extra step that a lot of people don't do, but I think it's important to be able to have a total complete flag. Now what I usually do is start off with the edges and then work into the center part of the flag. I also like getting the vertical supports done. At this time, it just makes it easier to be able to have those completed, and then I'll start on the center portion. And I do like to go in both directions in these smaller areas because it's hard to keep from having little stripes, and I want to be able to blend in those stripes so it gives a more consistent look throughout the whole entire back of the flag. Now it's time to be able to put the final clear coat on. Now this is going to be at least 3 coats because I want to be able to have a good coverage and a very high gloss finish. Now this first coat does soak into the wood quite a bit, so I want to be able to look at it from the different angles with the lighting so that I can still have real good coverage and be able to cover those places where it does soak into the wood. Now I've got the first coat on. I'm looking at it real close and catching any of the little details that I want to be able to catch, but this first coat looks absolutely awesome. This has turned out to be a beautiful flag. And flag number 2 is in the process of drying. As soon as this dries, I'll go ahead and assemble it like I did the first flag. And the peace officer flag, the stain is also drying. Now this is the first coat. This one requires multiple coats to be able to get the desired effect. But at this point, it's drying. So it's time to move on to the clamping process for the other flag. And I really like doing the production runs. It really makes it a whole lot easier and faster to be able to do multiple flags at the same time. But you do have to move from one flag to the next as you move through the different stages. Now I want to bring you back over to the first flag. The final coat of the clear coat sealer is on the flag and it looks absolutely beautiful. This of course will have to dry now, and then I'll flip it over and work on the back side because I need to be able to seal the back and of course put the wire hanger on it, and then it'll be ready to ship. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here. to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.